Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. In today's episode, we're going to be taking a look at the new addition to the Ryobi 40 volt lineup, this Powerstation inverter. So stay tuned. All right, you guys, so this right here in front of me is the Ryobi 40 volt Powerstation inverter. And it's a new addition to their 40 volt lineup. And what it pretty much does is takes the Ryobi 40 volt batteries, they're OPE equipment type batteries, and then uses it to convert the DC energy into AC energy. So we'll talk about it real quick and then we'll really get into it. So we ordered this off the Home Depot about 4 weeks ago, and we got it roughly around 2 weeks ago, and we've had a chance to use it for about 2 weeks. In that 2 weeks, we've had a few power outages, twice actually, so we've had a good chance to use it among some of the other stuff that we have. But anyways, like I said, we'll get into it. But this right now is available to order at the Home Depot in this current configuration, the only configuration that it comes in, for about $799, so it's roughly around $800, and it is spec'd at 1800 watts continuous and 3000 peak. Okay, so keep that in mind. So when you get it, you really get this. This case comes with it. It's a pretty okay case. I mean, it's nothing too special or anything, but it's really there so in case it drizzles or you're going to a ballpark game and there's a chance of rain or something like that, in case there's a drizzle, you can use it, okay? There is a clear windows. You can see through it. It zips up so you can kind of grab the handle there. It has a pocket on the side to carry the charger, okay? But you get the case. You also get this wall wart, and this wall wart is a 80-watt wall wart. So it converts 120 volts at 60 hertz down to 42 volts at 1.5 amps, okay? So if you don't know what that really means, it really means that it pretty much charges all the batteries on here sequentially, very slowly, okay? Slow charging. It's not a fast charger, doesn't charge it in parallel, charges it very, very slowly. So the model number on this is RYI1802B6, okay? So like I said, when you get it, it comes like this, obviously not on. It comes with two 6-amp-hour batteries, mine were not charged, and there's 4 slots for the batteries. It's spec'd at roughly 1800 watts continuous, 3000 peak, 310 volt outlets, and 4 USB-A outlets, and then 2 USB-C outlets. The USB-C ports on the USB-C ports will max out around 60 watts. I did test that with the MacBook Pro and a little tester, and it is about that, okay? It does come with a tool 5-year warranty, general Ryobi stuff. But if you look at the design, it really resembles a lot of what you would see from the Eagle Powerstation, right? It takes 4 of their Powerstation battery or OPE tool batteries, and it converts it into AC power with the little screen. So there's a lot of that. So the Eagle stuff is no longer sold at the Home Depot anymore, if you didn't know, but now it's only exclusively sold at the Lowe's. So Home Depot doesn't really have a solution that kind of uses OPE power equipment tool batteries that's pretty widely adopted into a Powerstation. So I'm assuming this is probably what they came up with to replace that lineup or that empty spot. You can get the DeWalt Powerstation, but that's a little bit different because that one is mainly designed heavier for like corded power tool usage. It's also a modified sine wave inverter, whereas this is a pure sine wave inverter. All right, so now let's get into it. So this is the front of the Powerstation, okay? It has a working light LED right there that you can press this button right here and it'll turn on. It'll turn on high. You press it again, it'll turn low. You press it again, it'll go to red. You press it again, it will blink red. You press it again, it will turn off, okay? There's a button here for the LCD backlight. You could turn it to high, you can turn it off, or you can turn it to low. This button right here pairs to the phone, which you can use as an app on the phone that will help you little by little bit understand a little bit more about what's going on with the Powerstation. You hold this button here, it will turn on the AC power outlets here. There's 320 volt AC 15 amp outlets, okay? These outlets, as written right here, are not grounded. So as you heard, I don't know if you can hear this, we'll go back around to the fan a little bit later, but when you turn it on, there is a fan that spins in the back, and it does make a weird sound. It is not silent, it is not a smooth sound, it's a little bit rough, okay? I'm gonna turn it off for now for the purposes of filming this video. And here is the power button. You press and hold for about 2 or 3 seconds and it will turn on and it will turn off, okay? The charging port is here. This right here is a charging port where you would plug in the charge wall wart charger, okay? There's 4 USB-A outlets, type A, 2.1 amps. Then there's tiers of 2 USB-C 3 amp outlets, okay? So it maxes out at 60 watts. So interestingly enough, one of the things that they did with this power station is, like a small portable inverter generator, they added parallel ports here. So at this time right now, I cannot find any information about this parallel port configuration, but looking at the ports and looking at the other Ryobi generators that we've seen or used before, they look very similar. And I'm not sure if you can use the same parallel kit that you can use on inverter generators for this, but the ports look oddly very similar, so it may happen. If I do find one, we'll test it one day in the future. And circuit breaker for in case you do exceed the power draw from the outlet. So here's a screen. Obviously there's nothing too fancy on the screen. There's 4 ports, so obviously corresponds to the 4 batteries. There is a load level, and this is not a percentage level or a power level. It's really a status bar type deal. And the USB outlet with power draw is also on here. And it does work, interestingly enough. Preferably for my preference, I would have liked to have seen it more of a power estimate, like wattage type draw or something like that. But this is what you get, and we're not going to complain too much because it does simplify it a bit. I will say one thing about these buttons right here. They are a little bit recessed and they are countersunk a little bit in, so you cannot press those buttons unless you have really tiny hands or a little bit long fingernails, okay? And if you don't have that, then you may need to take a pen or a pencil or a nail or screw or something to press those buttons. So keep that in mind. On the front here and on the back, just like this, there is a spot to hook up a strap so you can kind of carry it. So that's interesting. Interestingly enough, it didn't come with one, at least not the one that I got. And we did order it new from the Home Depot. Nobody sent this to us. Okay, we did purchase this item. So here is the left side of the power station. Obviously there's 4 of these ports here. This is the 6 amp hour battery that it comes with. So here's an interesting thing to note about the battery. If you're wearing big leather gloves, it may be difficult, or if you have big fingers or big hands, it may be difficult to get your hand in to pull this battery out. I did notice that when I was using leather gloves that were mainly for leather gloves that people usually use when they cut or chop wood. So that is interesting, but I mean, it's fine. I do appreciate the form factor that they made here. So this is the backside of the inverter. And on the backside, the air actually goes in through this bottom port here, circulates in, and then comes back out this way. And there is an active fan here that kicks on when you power on the power station, okay? So check this out. Right now, it is not running, okay? I will turn it on. So I'm not sure how well that's going to come through on camera or on the microphone or on the YouTube, but it does make a very weird sound. And I did look at it very closely with the light, and nothing is touching the blades or anything like that. It just makes a weird sound, and there's a very slight new burning, like plastic burning type smell you get from some new electronics. So that does happen. I'm not sure if this one's defective or whatnot, but that is what's happening with this one. For the sake of recording this video, I'm going to turn that off. And the other side, pretty much the same. There's LEDs on the top here that really will come on when they're charging, like red or green, and it really tells you which one is charging. And as I mentioned before, it will charge very, very slowly using the 80-watt wall wart. And as it says right here, avoid direct sunlight, and for the best performance, use 5 amp hour batteries or greater. So we will do a little bit of testing in here, but one of the few things I did want to mention on here is, compared to the Eagle Power Station, this one is a lot significantly easier to carry, okay? So with the Eagle Power Station, you really have two handles right here that you would grab, and then it's a lot heavier, but on this one, you could really grab this with just one hand, and it really makes it a lot easier to carry. We can definitely show you on that. And also has like this roll cage built-in bar type design here. So that's interesting. All right, so let's get into powering some of the devices and let's see how it goes. All right, you guys, So here's some of the basic stuff we have around the shop and some of the stuff that we use quite often that is still corded, okay? So let's try how some of this stuff works, all right? So this right here is a Craftsman random orbit sender, and according to the specs, this draws roughly around 2.8 amps, okay? So let's plug this in. We'll turn the inverter on first. Then we'll plug this in. Let's see how it works. This should work just fine. Works just fine. I don't know if you could see it right there on the camera, but it did draw 2 bars on the load meter, okay? This one right here is the Mila, depending on whoever you're from, C1 compact pure suction vacuum, okay? And I believe this one draws roughly around 9.5 amps, okay? This vacuum is actually great. We really like using this vacuum. And the vacuum does have a soft start mode, so it is really nice. So right now, we're gonna put it here on max power. So as it's going right now, you will see it is roughly around 73% load, okay? Total load, 72% total. Sorry, that was the wrong button there. As we turn it off, it will draw to 0%, all right? Now, here is the big one. So this is the Makita, which model is this? Not even sure off the top of my head, but this is the Mac 700, okay? It's 2.2 horsepower, 2.6 gallon compressor. And we really like the Makita Mac compressors. The big bore stuff actually works really well. Nothing compared to the Ingersoll big ran stuff that we have out there in the garage shop, but for smaller jobs, this works fine. So, I'm not sure how well this is gonna work because most of you guys know compressors and things like this have a large surge amperage draw, okay? But according to the sticker on the back here, this 2.6 gallon compressor will draw somewhere around 12.4 amps, okay? So this technically should make this trip, but we'll see how it goes. I haven't done this before. So interestingly enough, it only peaked up to about 46%, okay? So that's interesting. I really thought that it was gonna make this trip, okay? So that's interesting. We're gonna have to put some more load on there. So we're gonna plug this in, then we're also going to turn up the vacuum and see how that goes, all right? So here we go. All right, so before we do this, I'm gonna say we're gonna start the compressor, then we will start the vacuum because the vacuum does have a soft start function and it will start slowly. The vacuum also has 6 modes, min to max. So we're gonna go up on the modes slowly to figure out how well it does, all right? I'm not sure if you can see it very well there, but I'll try to see if I can show you guys. All right, here we go, 0% load. Kick on the compressor. Let's let some air out real quick though. That actually filled it up quite a bit. Here we go. I'm gonna left the valve open, that way it'll just keep running, okay? Mode 1, mode 2, brings us to about 52% total, 58. Mode 3, looks like it peaked out and it tripped the breaker. Actually, I'm not sure if that's what actually did, but it did turn red, all right, overload protected. So in order to move on past this, what you need to do is press reset after you remove the load, okay? So let's see how that goes. Let's remove the vacuum. Actually, let's kick the compressor off. remove the load, press the reset. Here we go. Now we're back, okay? Actually, let's just check out the vacuum and the load that it does on all 6 modes, okay? So here's mode 1, 28%. Mode 2 brings us to about 37%. Not sure if it's gonna go up from there. 37% looks like where it's at. Mode 3 on the vacuum will take you to 49% of the total capacity, okay? So 49% of total capacity, if this is an 1800 watt inverter, it should be about 900 watts. So that seems right if you do the math. Mode 5 should peak up. There we go. Now we're at 59%. We're gonna go to mode, actually that was mode 4. We're gonna go to mode 5. There's mode 5. Mode 5 brings you to 61% of the total load, okay? 64%. All right. Mode 6. Mode 6 on the Miele C1 compact pure suction will bring you to about 72% of the total capacity of total load that this inverter can put out, okay? So it's hovering around 72, 71%. So, I mean, as you can see, that's actually very interesting. The good thing about the Miele vacuum is that you can really change all the modes. So if you do the math, that comes out roughly very close. We'll throw the math up on the screen. We don't need to go over too much in detail. But the interesting thing about this is that you can really run it with 2 batteries. So like I said, it comes with 2 6 amp hour batteries, and you could probably get 2 5 amp hour batteries, but it does really work. So now let's see what happens when we pull one of the batteries out when it's under a different load situation. So we'll run it, the test on load on the vacuum on mode 1, and then we'll pull one of the batteries, and then we're gonna take the vacuum to max, and then we'll pull one of the batteries out, and we'll have to see how that goes, okay? So here we go. We're gonna turn the vacuum on, wait for it to, the load meter to show properly, and then we will pull the battery. 29% load, all right? Let's see what happens when we pull one of the 6 amp hour batteries. No issue, not even a hiccup. Let's put it back. Still at 29%, 28%. All right, we're gonna take it to maximum power. Brings us to 73%, okay? 72%. Let's pull one of the batteries. Interestingly enough, not even a hiccup, all right? Let's add a little more, just a little more, and see how much we can go with the hot swapping batteries under load. Even though earlier I told you not to do that. This is just an experiment. Kick on the sander. %7 load, all right? Let's see how it goes. Still holding at 86, 87. Wow, so that was actually an interesting test. So what we did was, just to give you a recap, we tested pretty much the inverter under load at around close to 87, 80, 86%, and was able to pull one of the batteries, and that means the one battery was powering about 87% of the load. If you did the calculations on that, that means this battery is actually putting out a lot because you have to account for the efficiency of the inverter. Okay, so that's actually very interesting because on certain models of power stations and different kinds of things, there's a whole bunch of competitors and things out there, you actually need all 4 batteries to get the rated power output from the power station. Or you need like 3 batteries or 4 set of batteries. But this one, although it's probably not recommended, you can pull that rated capacity from one 6 amp hour battery. Now, I don't think you're gonna be able to do that with anything less than a 5 amp hour battery because it says on here for maximum performance, use 5 amp hour or greater. Unfortunately, I do not have any 5 or any other 40 volt batteries because I don't have any Ryobi 40 volt OPE equipment, so I can't test that for you. But keep that in mind, with a 6 amp hour battery, you can hot swap the batteries if you do have it under high load, okay? So if you have other batteries and things like that and you have a charger and you just need to keep this running, you could probably keep it working like that. Although I'm not sure what kind of situation you would be in to make that happen, but you can do that if you want. The other thing to keep in mind here is you cannot plug in and use this power station at the same time. Meaning, if you plug the port in on here, it will automatically turn off the inverter and go into charging mode. It is not possible to charge and keep the inverter on or keep the power station on pretty much at the same time, okay? All right, you guys, so in just closing this video out, I just brought this Eagle here mainly just to give you size comparison or ideas of roughly how much it is. This is not a comparison video. If you guys want one of those, you can definitely, I don't know, leave a comment or something like that and we can try to make one for you. But the Ryobi inverter generator here, power station, is significantly smaller, as you can tell. It's pretty, it's just by looking at it, you can tell, all right? So the Ryobi one is easier to carry because it kind of has like this one handle you can carry like that, whereas the Eagle one, you really have to hold both parts or 2 parts to really carry that, okay? There's no central balance handle there. So that does exist, okay? So they both take 4 batteries of the power OPE power tool batteries you do have. The Ryobi one does have a USB-C port or 2 USB-C ports that can put out 60 watts, okay? What can they do to improve on the Ryobi power station? The biggest thing I think they missed on there was this wall wart. This 80 watt wall wart is pretty sad, I would say, mainly because if you had 4 batteries on here, in order for you to charge all 4 batteries from a drained state would take you pretty much an eternity, okay? Whereas if you only use the inverter on like weekends, the tailgates or whatever, you could probably make do with that. But if you use it quite a lot and you don't have any other OPE 40 volt Ryobi batteries or chargers, then I mean, it's gonna take you forever to charge. But if you do have some Ryobi batteries and chargers, you could obviously charge the batteries in those chargers and get going really well. So the biggest improvement I think they can make is probably make this fast charge on every time it charges and parallel charge all of them quickly. That is, I think, a miss. Why didn't they do that? I don't know, but I do believe that in order to do that, it will probably cost saving measure if I had to guess. So keep that in mind. It does work pretty well. We've had a chance to use it through 2 power outages that were at least 6 hours each. It did power our Samsung large refrigerator just fine for that entire hour, and then some other small electronics and toys and things like that. So it does work very well. It is convenient. If you do have the Ryobi 40 volt lineup batteries, I would definitely get into this one if you can, I guess. If you have the Eagle ones, I would go with that one. So just make sure you keep that stuff in mind. It is pretty convenient. So which one should you get? Like I said, whichever one you got the power tool batteries for. So like I said, I hope this video has helped you guys out, and then we'll see you guys next time.